We had this a little, not a tradition, but we used to do this. I haven't done this in a while. Pastor, long time ago, had mentioned something in a funeral, like if we had something nice to say, we have so many nice things to say after the person is passed away, but yet we don't. We refrain from saying nice things when they're alive. I had started doing these exercises of just appreciating people that have made a impact in my life. So today, maybe this is too loud, Alan. I'm sorry, dude. I apologize. You're doing a good. See, this is what we. In the front, we just always criticize, but they're doing such a fantastic job. All right. No, okay. So today, Karen Shaiju. I want to recognize Karen Shaiju. You are such an amazing woman of God. That's all I had written, but everything else will be from my heart. You're such an amazing woman of God. Your maturity supersedes that of your siblings. You are such a blessing in this church, and it is my privilege to even associate myself to you, and let alone be called your pastor. You are such an inspiration to not only your age group, to people. I'm not done yet. You are such an inspiration not only to your age group, but those who are even older. Amen. You have turned, Paul says, a beautiful woman truly is a one who is quiet and meek. We will work on the quiet part, but you are truly the epitome of that beautiful young lady, and I can't wait to see what God does in your life. I think it's your birthday in a couple of days, and I pray that God blesses you with all sorts of good things. Don't ever change, but if you do decide to change, be in the same direction where you are going now, becoming or changing to become more like Jesus Christ. Amen. So thank you, Karen. Amen. God bless you. So welcome everyone to this Sunday morning. It is good to be in the presence of God. Usually in our busy lifestyle, and by the way, guys, did you notice this little deal? This is like a whole little office here, man. This is nice. It has wheels. It has wheels. Yeah, Chandran uncle, who is in India, I think they reached safely, but he donated it. So thank you, Chandran uncle. When he comes again. But it has wheels. Okay, it has wheels. So that means I can move. I can move all the way to the back even. Because I have noticed that it moves. It moves. So because I've noticed, because sometimes it's probably very hard to hear me from back there. Because I've noticed, it's hard. It's not. So make it easy for you guys. Maybe sometimes we will just, flip the thing for you guys, just to help you guys. We will bring the word to you. If you do not come to the word, we will bring it to you. So because we are here to serve. So I don't want to come back there, but it has wheels, all I'm saying. So last week, I happened to go and listen to maybe 5 minutes of, and Jason Bhai does a nice deal of recording and putting it up on YouTube and such, of the sermons that are preached here, both English and Malayalam, and thank you for that. And I happened to actually hear 5 minutes of the message, and I was like, what is happening here? Like, it's like going through, there are some important things that I want to share, but those important things get clouded by the Malayali, Pentecostalism of me. Nothing wrong with that, but that style of preaching. That's very, like I'm going through puberty or something like here. Like I'm losing my voice and stuff, so we are going to go slow. Very important, so we're going to go very slow. We're going to make you guys understand. Together we're going to understand. But the trouble is, sometimes when we go slow, everyone kind of like just starts to doze off and stuff. So, and that is why we have to do all of this. Like, I don't like making jokes while we're preaching and stuff, but I have to do it because, everybody's sleeping. So we're going to go slow, but we're going to try to make everyone come along with me. So I want to revisit a couple of the things that I screamed last week. So we can better understand. Joshua chapter 4, from verse 1 through 9. Joshua chapter 4. You guys are all with me? Yes. Everyone? You guys are happy, right? Yes. Like, God is so good.
Amen.
Like, really think about it. Yeah. Okay. Joshua chapter 4. It says, now when all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan. We are in the book of Judges, okay, by the way. We are in the book of Judges, but we are just going to extract something from Joshua chapter 4. Okay? Okay, maybe I will tell you why we are in Joshua chapter 4. See, this is good. That's why we are going slow. Good. The reason we are in Joshua chapter 4 is, I remember last week, I kind of mentioned, if you hopefully you were, were able to keep up, they were the third generation who did not follow the commands or the law of God.
Amen.
They were the third generation who said, we want the Yahweh God, but we also want the God of the land. And now, how did the gods still remain? God's command was, drive out or utterly destroy all the people around them, but they did not. They refused, and we'll get to their why. But they refused to do that, and the gods still remained. And now, what was so different about this third generation? What was so different about them and the generation of Joshua and those that superseded Joshua? Right? So that's what we are going to look at. Joshua chapter 4. So that's why we are in Joshua chapter 4. This is one of the main differences. All right. Now when all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan. All right. So Joshua is now alive and well. All right. The Lord spoke to Joshua, saying, take for yourselves 12 men from the people, one man from each tribe. Command them, saying, take up for yourselves 12 stones from here out of the middle of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet are standing firm, and carry them over with you. Lay them down in the lodging place where you will lodge tonight. So as they were crossing Jordan, right, they said, the word of the Lord said, go and pick up the stones, right? Everyone with me. Pick up the stones from the middle of the Jordan and take it to the other side. And 12 of you guys need to do that. But that's not it. It goes on to say that, so Joshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the sons of Israel, one man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, cross again to the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan, and each of you take up a stone on his shoulder according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel. Let this be a sign among you, so that when your children ask later, saying, what do these stones mean to you? Then you shall say to them, because the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So not only were they, and these are not some like little stones, they are carrying it. So that means these are some really huge stones. They are from the middle of the Jordan. They are taking it to the bank and they are placing it. And the responsibility of the elders around that time was to tell all the children, because the children who are going to be born, they don't have this experience, but they are going to be brought to that experience. How? The parents showing them this is what it means. Amen. The trouble with the parents was they were busy worshiping or Baal, or accumulating a lot of things. The trouble with parents, instead of going weekly or daily or whatever to the stones, they are busy making money. They are busy falling in sensual sins. They are busy trying to make a name for themselves when they should have been teaching the children, this is what happened to us. This is how we came about. That was the difference between the third generation religion. They had no clue, they had no Jordan experience. Neither did they have an experience through their parents. They only had heard about it, of course, because it's a very nice story. Oh yeah, we were walking and Jordan River just split apart. That's a nice story. They knew the story. They didn't know the God.
Amen.
But it doesn't end there. That was God's command of them to take the stones and put it in the bank, right? But it goes on to say, verse 6, let this be a sign among you so that when your children ask later, saying, what do these stones mean to you? Then you shall say to them, because of, okay, we read that. Verse 8. Okay, but the second part. The waters of the Jordan were cut off, so these stones shall become a memorial to the sons of Israel forever. Verse 8. Thus the sons of Israel did as Joshua commanded. They took up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, just as the Lord spoke to Joshua. According to the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel, they carried them lodging place and put them down there. All right, so they did exactly what God did. But look at what Joshua now does. Then Joshua set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan at the place where the feet of the priest who carried the Ark of the Covenant were standing. So not only did they take some stones from Jordan and put it in the bank, Joshua now said, this was not God's commandment. Joshua is now saying, guys, let's do something else. You take up some stones from here and go put it in the bank of Jordan as well. And I said last week that this represents a life that is crucified in Christ. What is seen is the life of Christ. But what Joshua said is, now, it is not just that God needs to live in you. There has to be a decision that you make that I die to myself. That's what this was representing. He said, take the stone from here, go put it in the bank, and now Jordan River is going to completely cover it. This third generation religion did not understand this, did not go through this, did not have this experience. A life that is crucified. It was all, they had the God aspect of it. But they could not fathom, they could not come to the realization that it's not only that Christ lives in me, that I need to die to myself, die to my flesh, die to my sin. The Jordan River needs to cover it. And that was the trouble. Now, they missed the mark there. This was to be taught to the children.
Amen.
You're all with me.
Amen.
I'm going a little slow.
Amen.
This was to be taught to the children, but instead of teaching to the children, they were busy accumulating things for themselves.
Amen. Amen.
Does this ring a bell?
Amen.
Does this ring a bell to some of us, perhaps? Is this perhaps some of our story? But now, I have also mentioned that the purpose of Israel at that time, they were the evangelists, God's evangelists, that people are going to be attracted to them because of how God is blessing them. I want to prove that to you. Isaiah chapter 43. Isaiah chapter 43. So I want to read Isaiah chapter 43 from verse 10. This is the word of God to Israel. You are my witnesses, declares the Lord, my servant whom I have chosen, so that you may know and believe me and understand that I am He. Let's jump to even verse 12. It is I who declared and saved and proclaimed, and there was no strange God among you, so you are my witnesses, declares the Lord. This was the responsibility of the Jews at that time, to be a witness of God. So the people, all the other nations need to start questioning it. The God that we are serving is only fulfilling us this much, but there is a peculiar nation, there is a peculiar group of people. This is something different about them. Israelites were supposed to be witnesses of God. to the other nations around them. But this is exactly what happened though. Instead of being witnesses of them, they were supposed to drive those people out, and they did not. And because they could not drive those people out, they remained, and there, along with them, remained their gods and the altars that they used to worship God also. Their gods. So now, instead of becoming witnesses to the nation, what happened was, these people probably, they started to assimilate with these people. The people are not completely gone out. They start to mingle with them. God, who had said to utterly destroy these folks, they now start to slowly mingle with them. And they had no problem. Their mind was, I will justify all of this. They start to mingle with them. That's how Samson gets in trouble as well. To sleep around, he couldn't find that in his little group. He had to go where these Gentiles were. And that's how many good number of them fell into sin, because of the influence that was around them. So remember, God's calling was that you are to influence the people around you, but exactly the opposite is happening in this book, or we see in this book. The people of the world are influencing the people of God.
Amen.
Now imagine what is happening though. How did this happen? There's constant, put yourself in Israel's shoes, constant victory. And they are slowly but surely there is victory. Why would they start worshiping a new God? Why would they start worshiping a God of the land? They have heard the voice of God. They have gotten the law of God. Why would they ever start worshiping Baal or Ashtaroth or Asherah's pole or Moloch? Why would they start worshiping? They start thinking about this. Why would we start chasing after these things? The reason they would, let's suppose, because they started to mingle with these people. Let's suppose a farmer starts to farm and this Gentile neighbor comes and says, wow, good harvest today. Yep, that's true. My barn is half full. Well, years ago when my family used to do this here, our barns used to be up to the brim. Well, what? What did you do different? What new technique did you use? No, nothing new. I did exactly what you did. But right before I would sow the seed, I would offer up the best thing that I have to Baal. Well, who's that? Well, Baal, you don't know Baal? It's the owner of this land. No, Yahweh is, no, I know you. But Baal, though, he will give you not half barn, full barn. He will give you exactly what your heart's desire.
Amen.
And there's a little, in the heart, there's this conscious, I have to go in the Sabbath, I have to look Yahweh in the face and, worship Him. And I won't give the best. I will just, there's in the flock, there is a lame sheep there. And nobody needs to know. Accidentally, as I am tilling the ground, there's the altar there. It accidentally falls and blood spills. And you know what? The year after, there's plenty of harvest. There's plenty of harvest. It starts to click. Hey, something is, all I have to do is just compromise a little bit. And slowly, that slippery slope, that small degree of turn, years later becomes a wide angle away from God.
Amen.
Now you might say, what, God? To avoid all of this, all you could have done is just bless them abundantly without any reason to question. So now let's look. Judges chapter 3. from 1 through 4. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to test Israel by them. That is, all who had not experienced any wars of Canaan, only in order that the generation of the sons of Israel might be taught war, those who had not experienced it formerly. These nations are the 5 lords of Philistines, and the Canaanites, and the Sidonites, and the Hivites who lived in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon as far as Lebo Hamath. They were for testing Israel, to find out if they would obey the commandments of the Lord, which He had commanded their fathers through Moses. Why were these people around? Why was Israel not being super prosperous? Because God is not in the business of just giving you peace and prosperity. God is in the business of God. God is for God. That is what they needed to understand. First, obedience to me comes first. You are not obeying me for some sort of blessing. You are obeying me because I am God.
Amen. Amen.
When the famous Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. All sorts of things are good. You would think that God, oh, you are there for me. You are here to bless me. But my friends, right in the middle of that psalm, there is this little small phrase, for His name's sake. It is for Him.
Amen.
All of these things, you get what I'm saying? All of these things are happening around us. It is not so that something will happen for us. No, that we will be completely surrendered to Him.
Amen.
He is in the business of not to make you prosperous. He is in the business of making us holy.
Amen.
Do you understand that? That's why He is always constantly talking about commands and commands and commands. Why? Because this is only how He can test you that if you're truly holy. If there is a choice. Unless and until there is a choice, you cannot be holy. You understand that, right? In the Garden of Eden, if there was no tree of good and evil, or the fruit of good and evil, if Adam did not have a choice, he would never become holy. How could he become holy when he had a choice and he said, no, I choose not this, I choose God. That's how he would become holy. He was in the business of creating a holy nation. A holy nation that is not going to be after prosperity. A holy nation that is not going to be after some sort of selfish, sexual indulgence. A people group that is going to be only after Him.
Amen.
And only then can you become my true witnesses.
Amen.
If you are absolutely in love with me.
Amen.
Because these folks, remember in chapter 2 we read, they cried out. They sacrificed even. Without having a heart, God, it is you that I need. Even after when they get in trouble. Let's read verse 9. When the sons of Israel cried to the Lord. They cried. They have emotions. But why are they crying? They are crying for help. They're crying that I don't like this slavery. I don't like this position. They're not crying, God, they're not crying with a repentant heart, God, we turn to you. They're just crying because they're hurt. They're crying. There's emotions. And God hears them and rescues them. And peace comes. And right after peace, they turn back again.
Amen.
Because you see, they were in the pursuit of peace instead of pursuing God. That was the difference. That was the trouble. They were after all sorts of things. They were after all sorts of name. And sometimes we can worship God that way as well, can't we? I will worship God so that He can give me this. That I can have this. If I fast and pray, I will get something. But my friend, The biggest goal, the biggest aim, the only thing that matters is God Himself.
Amen.
He is the biggest treasure that you and I can ever receive.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Amen. Hallelujah.
When the sons of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a deliverer for the sons of Israel to deliver them.
Amen.
God raised up. They were after prosperity and peace. They were not after holiness. So as they were called to be witnesses, that was the last command of Jesus as well to us. Go wait so that you will be filled with the Holy Spirit. And you will be my witnesses. My friends, honestly, just for a second, think about this. I mean, like, forget all this emotional drama and stuff. Have we truly become witnesses for God? This God, for where we are. Isn't our Christianity summed up in 52 weeks of the beginning hallelujah to the last Ashirvad? And we have lost the true calling of becoming witnesses for Him. And we don't need to, pack our bag and start traveling to some third world country to start right here where you're working. Right here where we are. My friends, have we forgotten this is our calling? To be His witnesses. Not to sing some songs. Not to cry on a Sunday morning becoming emotional about Him. That's all well and good, but my friends, this is our true calling, to be His witness.
Amen.
For many years, we have this label of Christianity. Truly, honestly, just ask yourself, am I truly a witness of God? If somebody looks at me, they see a little bit of heaven. They see a little bit of nature of Christ. They see a little bit of nature of God. My friends, if we cannot come to that place, if we have not come to that place, isn't our story as tragic as the story that we read in Judges?
Amen.
All sorts of programs, all sorts of meeting, all sorts of crying, all sorts of sacrifices. But we have lost the true meaning for which He has called us for. He has called us not for peace and prosperity, but we have gotten all of that, haven't we? We have gotten all sorts of peace and prosperity and bank balances, and everything else has been answered. But my friends, have we truly become His witnesses?
Amen.
Hallelujah. Jobin, can you just lead us aloud in prayer? May God bless you.